Thank you all very much. Again, we want to get our give on, and with that being said, I'd like to introduce Tom Partridge, Mike Ash up front to take us to the next step. All right.
I really don't know if I should do I did Louisville yet. You might do that. All right, hey, one of the things I think everyone in this room knows about is how important United Way has always been to Fifth Third Bank. I mean, as you all well know, one thing that we feel very strongly about is our organization is doing everything we can to make the communities we live in strong. And one of the things that we always feel is so important for our employees is to make sure we're doing everything we can to give back to our community. And one of the best ways to do that is through United Way. And so this year we really are looking for an increase in leadership giving. We are looking, frankly, for an increase in dollars across the board because really, as you kind of look at what's going on in the marketplace over the last several years, a lot of the United Way agencies are having their funding cut back. And so it's really incumbent upon us to really do everything we can to help raise some additional dollars. But again, but I also want this to be something that you feel very good about. You know, I don't want people to sit there and feel like, oh gosh, I really don't feel that good about giving to this because maybe you don't feel a connection. But the reality is there are so many agencies you can get good connectivity with. And I'm sure if you ever want to do business, United Way is happy to take people out and to help you get a better feel for some of the agencies they do support. And the other thing I'll tell you is you just never know how the United Way can touch either yourself or people you know in either a direct or indirect way. I'll give you a great example in my life personally. I have a sister who had a husband that had a pretty serious dependency issue several years ago. And unfortunately, he ultimately committed suicide, which was, you know, terrible from our family standpoint. And I had a sister with 2 young kids at the time that frankly needed some, you know, male adult supervision or, you know, influence in her children's lives. And the reality was Big Brothers and Big Sisters was a big part of helping her get her children through that traumatic experience. It was really a very positive impact on their lives. I think a lot of times we don't realize how United Way can touch ourselves or the people we know, because a lot of times we just don't ask the questions. But the United Way does so many great things in our community, and that's why we as an organization continue to support it. So again, as we, you know, today we're kicking off the campaign. We really want to give 100% employee participation. We're really looking to ultimately try to do as much as we can to increase our overall leadership giving. So I appreciate you all being here today. I appreciate your engagement, and I really think this is really an important initiative for our organization. I just ask you to, you know, stay committed and get your give on. Fine, the last question about, you notice Mark's suit? You all know where Mark came from, don't you? He came from Yum Brands. So everyone at Yum Brands had to have a Colonel Sanders. Thank you.
Speaking of outfits, I don't know where Brant got this stuff. I love the double major T-shirt. So he raided somebody's closet. I think the kangaroo hat was his already. And I want to thank the videographer for filming all this. I think a Christmas gift for the employees would be printing these DVDs, especially to Abdul, all the realtors throughout some Kentucky. I drive some business. Well, Tom mentioned the giving percentage. Last year was our highest percentage here in Central Kentucky from an employee standpoint of giving, so thank you for that. It still wasn't 100%, so we're going to encourage everybody to participate this year. And just, I know I've cited this statistic to everybody before, but we were the #1 financial services giver, not only for the United Way last year, but also for LexArts. And that is just a very good comment on this organization here in Central Kentucky to our community. We certainly want to continue that tradition. I think we were also the #1 medium-sized company giver for United Way last year, so we definitely want to hold on to that distinction too. But as Tom said, there is a great need out there, and everything that we do really helps us build a better community here where we work. And you know, as we all know, that if we build a better community, we can have a better bank as a result. So thank you for all your past work, and thank you in advance for what we're going to do here for this campaign. I'd now like to introduce Kate Mart, who is the Financial
Stability
Coordinator for United Way. Kate, come on up.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to start off today by telling you very sincerely thank you for everything that you have done for United Way and for your community. You heard earlier, sometimes there is some connectivity issues, and I realize that it's not quite fair that you're the investors and yet I'm the one that has the privilege of seeing what your dollars do. So it's really exciting for me to be here today to kind of share with you some of what you're doing for the community. It's an honor for me to go to work every day and to get to do the sort of things that I do, and so I'm very privileged to be here today. Just so you have a little bit of background about me, I've been with United Way now for about 2 years. I started out there as an AmeriCorps member, and I was there 1 week before Bill Farmer was, so I have some seniority on Bill. But as I started there as my first job out of college, and I had a lot to learn, and one of the things that really struck me about United Way was that we were in a period of transition. For years and years, United Way has been known as a fundraising agency, and that's what many people still know us to be. But over the past several years, United Way has really transitioned into being an agency that's designed to make strategic and focused changes in the community, specifically in the areas of health, education, and income or financial stability. These changes have been, I think, monumental to United Way and are really making a difference in the community. And Financial Stability Coordinator, my title, that's a fairly new title. That's something that I think reflects the changes that have been going on in United Way. You know, when we sat down and started talking about what it takes to make a difference in those three areas, what we realized is that if we are really sincere, if we really want to change this community, then doing what we've always done is not going to cut it anymore. We have to do more. That puts an imperative on us to go out and do rallies and to get more resources, but it also puts an imperative on us to reach out to additional resources and bring more things into this community. And so last year, one of our great successes, I think, is that we were able to secure a $1 million grant from the Department of Health and Human Services to fund a program called Back on Track. And Back on Track is a program that I have the honor to coordinate, and this is something that is new to our United Way. For years and years, we funded a lot of emergency services, and those are wonderful services. We continue to fund those services. But the truth of the matter is, if we want somebody to reach self-sufficiency, a food pantry may not be the best way to do that. And so we have to find additional ways to help people build budgets, to help them become familiar with legitimate financial institutions, to help them reach their goals of long-term financial assets. And that is what Back on Track does, and that is why it's such an exciting program. Back on Track is a matched savings program that's designed to combat poverty by building up long-term financial assets. So individuals in our program are saving for one of three long-term assets. They're either saving for home ownership, small business startup or expansion, or to continue their education. So every person in our program is working on one of those three things. The program works, there are individual development accounts, and I know Fifth Third has some experience with those, so you may be familiar with individual development accounts. But IDAs are matched savings, and that's probably the hallmark of our program. What draws most people in is that we're able to match their savings 2-to-1 for up to $2,000. So somebody in our program who's saving to go back to school, for example, can save $2,000 for the cost of their tuition, and we can provide an additional $4,000 when they graduate to go to that tuition to help them reach their degree. But Back on Track is more than just handing out money, and I don't want anybody to get that feeling. Back on Track is a program that invests in people who are ready to invest in themselves. It's not just about handing out $4,000. We require each person that's in our program to also complete 10 hours of financial education, 8 hours of asset-specific education, home ownership classes, small business classes, education classes. We also require them to build legitimate financial institutions. They build up trust with those institutions. They become banked. We have several people who have been unbanked in the past. We use behavioral economics. They have to save a portion of their income every month while they're in the program for at least 6 months. And I think maybe most importantly, we help them build up their confidence. We help people believe in themselves again. You know, it's called Back on Track because, as you all know, the economy has not been exactly stable over the past couple of years, and there's a lot of people in our program who, for whatever reason, and many times through no fault of their own, the dreams that they had just seemed out of reach at one point. And this program helps them achieve those dreams again. So I told you we received word that we got funding for this back in September. We started enrolling people in January, and I'm really pleased to say that in the past 7.5 months, we've enrolled 53 people in our program. And those 53 people to date, just in the past 7 months, have already saved $24,000 of their own money. I think that's extraordinary. And what I'm most excited about is, you know, these are people, to be eligible for this program, there is an income guideline. So to give you kind of a feel for where these people are at, a single person can't make more than $21,780 to qualify for our program. These are not people with a lot of discretionary income, and yet each month they are making sacrifices because they're willing to invest in their future. And we're right behind them. We believe in them as well. As I said, we enrolled our first 2 people in January, and so the first 2 potential graduates, I met with them a couple of weeks ago. They've been in the program now for 6 months. And it's really wonderful to meet with those individuals. I wish you had the opportunity to meet with them yourself. But the first individual has surpassed his $2,000. He's got $3,500 sitting in the bank right now for his home, and he's currently looking for a home. The second individual is at his $2,000, and I remember him very clearly when we enrolled him in January because he came in and he had just been through bankruptcy a few years ago, and he was feeling really down. And what he told me was that he wanted to learn how to budget and how to feel better about his future. And when he came in and he sat down with me, he was at $2,000. He had done it. And he told me, you know, I'm just so proud of myself. And he said, everything that you did really made a difference, but what made the most difference is knowing that I had people out there supporting me who believed in me. And it's an honor to be one of his supporters, and it was really wonderful to hear that. But, you know, he wasn't just referring to me. He was referring to all of you who invest in the community and therefore invest in him and believe in him. So I'd just like to end as I started by telling you thank you. Thank you from me, and thank you from all of us at United Way, and thank you from him and everybody that he represents, because what you do makes a difference in their lives. So I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Kate. What is amazing is that every time I hear her make a presentation, I learn something new about the program that we're running and providing services to the community. What I find also amazing is that I spent nearly 2 years changing the culture of an organization, not using the term give, donate, and contribute. And we're using terms like investors, investments. And all of a sudden, I haven't been able to sleep for 3 nights because I had a premonition that coming in here and having to spend about 5 minutes talking with you, what am I going to tell you? And I knew something different was going to occur, but I had no clue that this is what we were talking about. Because what I said, this is a flashback. I knew the names of all those songs because when I was in college, I ran a disco. My hair was about this. You stole my shoes. That was that heels. And I see that you're wearing the summer lights, as we said. It's a good thing that we had the campaign before September. You guys would definitely be out of style. Let me just give you some really brief information because Kate's done such a superb job talking about the change in the United Way. I've been here since October 5th of 2009. And as of yesterday, I've met with 411 people on an individual basis. It doesn't count the thousands of people that I've gone before and made presentations. And I've been in all 9 of our regional counties. And one thing that people talk about is that this is one of the great American communities. and that people are really concerned and frustrated that they've done all the right things that you've always been told that you should do. That you buy a house, you save money, you have your 401k. And what they've seen is the value of their home decrease, the value of their home or their assets decrease, and they're frustrated. And I thought it was interesting, one gentleman said to me, and I always have to refer to this, he said, it's easy to be angry about what's happening in our communities, but being mad at a flat tire doesn't put a spare on it. We have to do something different. And what I find interesting is that people aren't concerned about themselves, they're concerned about their children, their children's children, and their grandchildren. Because they don't know what the future is going to be. So one of the reasons why we don't talk about donations or contributions is that donations and contributions help you feel good. I'll be honest with you. We accept them. But what we really are looking for are people who are willing to invest in the future of this community, of this region. Because the relationship that you have with a donor and a contributor is very different than a relationship that you have with an investor. With an investor, you're responsible for a return on that investment. That's the reason why Kate, here she is, why Kate was talking about how we were able to leverage your investments and getting $1 million federal grant. Finally, I'll just give you some real brief information. We've had to diversify our revenue sources. We put all our eggs for years in the employee campaign basket. It was Mark Twain that said, if you put all your eggs in one basket, you better protect that basket. But when the economy is soft and people start being concerned, what I call the 3 Gs, gas, groceries, and grandma, they're concerned about themselves and what happens in their own homes. And so even though we have been talking about all the issues in the community, we saw a decrease, quite frankly, despite what's going on in Fifth Third, in the donations and contributions to people who are really are in need. I don't believe in guilt philanthropy. I really don't. There is no not-for-profit if there is not profit. So I believe that you should make as much money as you possibly can. What I am asking you to do is to reinvest that money back in this community to make sure it continues to be one of the great American communities in this country. Do you have any questions that you might have for me? Well, great. Are we going to have more music?
We will. At the end, yes.
I can take that as a hint. Thank you, I appreciate
Kate,
it.
I just want to real quick give you a small token of our appreciation of you coming in today and all that you're doing for our community. Thank you. And just real quick, just wanted to say, Molly Caldwell. Molly, if you could raise your hand. It's Molly. Molly has been working with us for years with United Way. Today's her birthday, so 21 years old.
Thanks for throwing the party. I appreciate it.
Okay, well, I'll highlight some of the prizes that you could win as part of the campaign. Just so I get the fun stuff. And Grant, I didn't know about the campaign. The campaign dates are August 16th, so yesterday through September 2nd, and anyone who donates at any amount is eligible to win Groovy Prize. I didn't practice that saying groovy. Any financial center for our that's a real photo. Any financial center with 100% participation wins a pizza party. And the financial center will be entered into a drawing to win a breakfast that will be served by Mike Ash and Tom Partridge. Wearing that same outfit.
All right.
Flat screen TV for our leadership givers of $1,000 or more. 2 $25 gift cards will be given away every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, beginning this Friday. and then 2 sets of UK versus U of L football tickets, and the drawing will be after September 2nd, after the campaign ends. And then 1 participant will win an iPad 2. And Chad, you can vouch, they're fantastic. I don't. 1 lucky participant who pledges before 5 p.m. tomorrow will win a $250 gift card to the Apple Store, which I think could get you an iPad 2. No, I'm halfway there. Hey, this is how I dress. So but it'll get you most of the day. So we just want to say on behalf of the United Way and everyone, we at Fifth Third, there's a lot of pride because we have been on the forefront of leadership giving, and it is very important for our community. You heard some of the stories and the lives that it touches. So please contribute, invest in our community.
We want to give Bill a couple more minutes to say something.
Well, actually, it's just 1 quick second. I'd like to make an announcement. As part of our public policy approach to United Way, we have invited, and he's accepted, Levon Henry, who is head of the Cincinnati branch of the Cleveland Federal Reserve, to come to Lexington and make a presentation as relates to Federal Reserve policies. All of you who are in this room are invited to meet with him. So we will provide you more information. We have the dates. We're working on getting all the details. So let's make sure that we have the names and email addresses of everyone who's here. You will receive a save the date and an invitation, and this is going to be an extraordinary opportunity. You work in finance, and to be able to have someone who represents the Federal Reserve here that you'll have an opportunity to talk with and ask questions. So that is one of the benefits that you get as being a member of the leadership group here at Fifth Third Bank. So I just wanted to make that announcement. I didn't want to leave and forget it. So appreciate it.
Okay. With that, thank you very much. We really do appreciate it. And with that being said, Grant, hit the music. This brings this meeting to an official close, and we want you to go out and get your give on.